session. I'm Nicole Carter, here with my co-host Andy Huffman-Edwards, and we're very pleased that you've joined us for this session in our schedule, where our mission is to guide you in your technology evaluation journey. Our topic today looks at a common issue which we often help DWG members grapple with, the needs of frontline and mobile workers. We're joined by Chris Bondus and Sean Duffy from Igloo, whose technology can help address this, alongside their client, Kim Beth Roebuck from the City of Tucson, who is going to share with us how they've had success with their own frontline employees whilst learning some important lessons on the way. As they share their story, I invite you to add any questions into the chat. We also have time for Q&A during and at the end of today's presentation. However, before we begin our discussion, I'll hand things over to our technical producer, Rose Miller, to make sure everyone's set up comfortably. Over to you, Rose.
Great, thanks, Nicole. So we're using Teams today, so just a quick refresher to make sure you get the most out of the session. You can find all of your viewing options on your screen from the 3 dots that will show you your drop-down menu just there. And you'll also find the option to show transcription. So if you'd like to view the transcript as we go through the hour, you can do so by clicking on that option. Here are some options for getting involved in today's discussion. We always encourage participation and questions and reflections in the chat panel. So if you want to engage with each other and our guests, then please do that in the chat panel. And also the reactions features, all of that is very encouraged. If you need any technical help throughout, you can message me, Rose Miller, in the chat panel, and I will help you from there. And just to mention that we are recording this today. This is an open session and all materials presented remain confidential. I'll hand back to you, Nicole, now to introduce our guests.
Thanks, Rose. So while Chris is getting set, I'd like to welcome and thank Igloo for partnering with us on this session. Chris is going to share his screen in a minute, and I'm sure you're all looking forward to hearing from Igloo and the City of Tucson. So without further ado, over to you, Chris. Perfect.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We're excited to be here with you all to discuss how the City of Tucson addresses frontline worker needs through its digital workplace. Just go into a quick introduction here with the speakers. I'm Chris Bondus, Chief Marketing Officer at Igloo Software. My colleague, Sean Duffy, will be joining us a little bit later to provide a demo of our services. But the star of the show right now is Kim. Kim works for the City of Tucson, and she's going to be walking you through her journey of replacing an intranet based on Drupal with a solution from Igloo.
Thanks,
From an
Chris.
agenda perspective, I will give a brief overview of Igloo in a second. Kim will discuss the City of Tucson story, and then Sean, like I said, will close out with a demo. As you heard, while we have a dedicated time for Q&A at the end, please feel free to enter any questions in the chat box, and we will try to answer them in real time. So let's dive in. I am super excited to announce that Igloo launched a new product about a month ago called Igloo Flex. And for those of you who are not familiar with Igloo, we've been in business for nearly 15 years. We have over 400 customers across a multitude of industries. And with this new product, Igloo Flex, we're bringing a new solution to market that is powered by AI and machine learning capabilities to bridge workforces, engage frontline workers, and improve the digital employee experience organization-wide. Our goal with Igloo Flex is to unify the workforce, both desk and deskless workers, with one platform. Sean will give an Igloo Flex demo, like I said, in a few minutes, but just to dive in a little bit more around the concept of unification, that it's a term that's used very frequently, but its meaning varies from vendor to vendor or from analyst to analyst. I believe too often other vendors use the word as a synonym for the same, so to provide the same experience to desk and deskless workers. An example of this is a mobile responsive version of an intranet. So to provide a mobile version of an intranet with content from a desk meant for a desk experience, it's not necessarily a helpful experience. So for example, does a frontline worker really care about a message from the CEO? Or do they care more about shift scheduling or safety training courses, which are, on the other hand, not a priority for the desk worker? So Igloo approaches unification differently. We believe that desk and deskless workers have different needs based on their roles within an organization, and we build our platform to address those specific needs. So for desk employees, this means a very feature-rich browser experience with the information and integrations they require to drive the business forward. But for frontline workers, this would mean a more streamlined mobile app with information and integrations they require to perform their day-to-day work quickly and effectively. So at Igloo, we believe unification means equal in consideration, not equal same experience. Those experiences will be different because the frontline worker and the desk worker have different roles, different jobs, different work environments. So it's not about being the same, it's about being unique to those individual experiences. So let's just go a little bit layer deeper into beyond desk and frontline, and let's talk about the 3 different user types that exist in every organization. Everybody on this call, every user of the platform plays a unique role in helping to unify the organization. So there's 3 types of users. There's the administrator, there's the content manager, and there's the content consumer. So administrators, they need a tool that can align to your brand standards. You know, they need technical expertise. They need to be able to authenticate managers in a way that is easy for both the desk and frontline employees without making their jobs harder. They need to deliver an engaging digital employee experience in a way that is optimized for both the desk and frontline employees. From a content creator or content manager perspective, you need tools to create and manage engaging content to all of the different employees. You have to be able to distribute that information across devices and channels to personalize the experience to that employee type and to increase knowledge within the business by them consuming that content. For your content consumers, you have to be able to access the information and resources they need to help them be successful in their jobs, obviously. These folks want to feel connected to the business and strategies and the culture, and they need to be able to connect with colleagues that make sense for the nature of the job that they do. I gave the example earlier, a frontline worker on a manufacturing floor may not be that concerned about the CEO message for the month, right? But they do care about their shift. They care about accessing their payroll. They care about vacation time or PTO. So we want to be sure that we're providing the different persona types here with the capabilities and functionality that they need. We're not a one-size-fits-all approach, where Igloo has taken into consideration these 3 different personas and really designed features and functionality specifically for them. So we've taken a holistic approach. So I'm excited to hand this back over to Nicole, and we'll get started with the next section.
Thanks very much, Chris. So it was good to get our overview of Igloo and what's coming for us. And I know that Kim has got a really exciting story to tell, so I'm not going to spend too much time on me. I'll just hand it over to her.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Beth Roebuck. I'm a web design analyst with the City of Tucson. I've been in IT here for 24 years, a very, very long time. I've been here long enough to see many trends, so that's kind of interesting. What I'm going to discuss today is moving our Drupal legacy intranet into the Igloo digital workplace, which we call One Team. The value of thoughtful content curation, how we solicited content from those content owners, innovative out-of-the-box features, lessons learned, and some tips on governance and administration. And to start, about the city's previous intranet. It's a city government of approximately 6,000 employees. We support a population of around 1 million people. Our previous intranet was a Drupal 7 platform. And like most other organizations, it houses our internal documents, important employee information, any forms and other information that you might need to perform your job and understand the organization. Moving from our Drupal legacy intranet. These are some screen caps of our old site. It was not very heavily used. We actually got about 40,000 page views per year, which is not a lot when you see what our One Team is doing now. One thing that I will say is the content was viewable by all employees, which means that our fire department site, which you see here, was actually also visible by our HR department or our IT department. So any content that was within a department or anywhere on this site was visible to all viewers. So that's going to get interesting as we continue. Some of our goals in moving to the One Team or to the digital workplace by Igloo were that we really wanted to have a single source of truth for employees. We have such segmented information, segmented forms. No one knows which version of what to use. So it was really important that we nail that down. And also, branding has become a large priority for the city. So we want to make sure that we our branding for the unification and building morale. And that was how we came up with the One Team name. So the One Team is actually synonymous with our intranet. And these are a few screen caps of some iterations that we've gone through with the homepage of that. A couple interesting things that we've had to, I don't think it's an obstacle. It's actually created some opportunities. Although at first I thought, this is odd. Out of the box, our One Team actually came with 2 sections. We have a citywide resources section and also a department resources section. Our citywide section contains content that is visible to all employees. Our department resources section is visible only to that particular department. So this has helped educate our content editors because they have to determine who the stakeholder is for their content first. And that's a really great experience for them to have to, to have to address, because it's always important who is the stakeholder here when we examine our content.
So that's great. So if you're in HR, if you're looking for HR content, you can only see the content that's applicable to you as an employee. You can't then go into the HR department resources and get lost there because you can't see it. Only HR employees, for example, can see those department resources.
That's correct. They actually have content, like I said, we have content that's viewable by all. So we have sort of an HR, the strategy that we took with the external, the overarching information was that information would not be siloed. That information is in common language so that it doesn't matter if you're looking for a payroll form, you search for payroll, you don't have to go to that HR silo. The HR silo is behind that wall of department resources. So anything that you need as an overarching employee is in that overarching area. An HR employee, the collaborative information that they share with each other within the HR team is in the department resources area.
Thanks for explaining that. That's great.
So this 2 sides of the One Team actually created opportunities that I didn't anticipate. And one of those is that our public safety, which, I refer to them as public safety, but they're frontline employees. Our public safety departments actually are able to conduct internal business securely behind that wall. And that's been really helpful in building confidence for them to establish their area behind that wall. So we've had our public safety communications has now created a presence on our intranet or our One Team, which never existed before. So they're using a platform that that they had never actually used before. Channel of communication and also a channel of distribution as well. And curating content is what we're going to discuss next. And we took kind of a 2-pronged approach to this. We analyzed our previous intranets analytics, page visits, entrances, keyword searches, and we created these core content charts. These are actually analytics data that we've boiled down to. We examined what are the categories that this belongs to, either by looking at the URL, by visiting that content and determining what category can we establish that this belongs to. Then we sorted those into like categories and banded them. And we come up with these amazing, very revealing content category lists, which now we have almost an entire navigation of topics here. And these vary in priority. This is a 2015 to 2019 view. This is a 2020 view. And you can see as we look at this, the emergence of COVID-19 as a content category arising as a priority. Manuals are always important, certifications, but this is a new area of content. We also vetted these with staff to make sure that there's no data errors here, that this is actually what is important to the employees in that particular area. We also conducted interviews.
Kim, can I just ask you a question? I think you might come into it now if you're talking about asking stakeholders, because I was going to say, did you just collect all that from statistics?
No, actually, we interviewed stakeholders individually, and that took establishing regular meetings to really drill down to determine what that employee experience was, and at each level. I mean, so that meant a department-wide meeting, division meetings, tapping into bureaus and teams and understanding the employee experience at each level in each departmental organization. And we definitely took all of the content that was frequently accessed and we leveraged that in calls to action at the top of the page. That's a little bit more of the curation of forwarding that content that's accessed the most so that it's found much more quickly. Especially frontline employees don't need to dig around and try to find something when they're on their mobile phone or they're out in the field. They need to find content quickly, and that's important for us in our setup. Out of the box opportunities, elevating forms is really, really important to us. And this platform allowed us to elevate those forms by combining a display of digital forms also with our hard copy forms or our PDFs or digital file forms. What we were able to do is our benefits forms, our payroll forms, our records forms here. These are actually accordions that fold out. These are ported in from each department. So we have one area where benefits forms are updated. We can version those so there's no duplicate copies. And now I pull those in from that particular area so that no matter what changes are made by benefits, the most recent forms are displayed here. That's a big win for us because we also have a lot of attrition and we've had versioning issues. Which actually is interesting. I want to go back to the interviews with employees. One lesson that I learned, and I definitely want to iterate to all of you, is that I interviewed frontline employees, especially in our fire department, over and over and over again. What content do you have? And it didn't really register for them what content was. I continued my line of questioning. I continued my interviews, and I did find out they have content. I was told over and over, oh, we don't have content. We don't have content. The content I found is in the S drive. It's in the share drive. And that's where you can gather that content to put into your workplace where, like I mentioned before, it's versionable. It's presentable in a way that's organized so that people can find exactly what they need quickly. Whereas that share drive is just filled with all kinds of versions of this and that, placed by many different people who we don't even know if they're, what the status of it is. So that was an interesting lesson I did want to mention. And back to another out-of-the-box opportunity. We talked about elevating forms. Also in content discovery for our fire department. We found the need, we were building this during the pandemic, and we found a great need to elevate and move forward the fire department's forms. Once I established that the share drive was a wealth of content for this particular project, I started analyzing the content from their share drive. And I found 92 forms that they currently use. This is huge. I mean, they were in all kinds of, like I said, duplicated, multiple iterations, not organized. No one could tell what was what. So we took all of those forms. We took 92 actually to start a project. And for the pandemic to kind of push through that period, we fast-tracked 56 of those to be converted into digital forms that we could present here that could be filled out in the field for our frontline workers. And many of those other 56 are now fulfilled, and we have those up on our site as well. But that was an interesting experience that led to more content discovery, but also more ways that we could serve our frontline workers. Those forms are really important to them, and also those being accessed, whether they're in the field, whether they're at the station, whether they're at a desk, no matter where they are, to have access to those forms is critical. Other out of the box, oh, my presentation is jumping around a little bit on its own here, so I'll pop around, pardon me. So other out of the box features include our folders widget. Oh goodness. Include our folders widget. The folders widget is a big win, especially for our frontline employees, and our employees in general. We have a ton of attrition here. And so to make things simple for our new users, especially, providing folders to display content in easy content consumable ways is so important. And to make that simple, we've created, actually, this is a folder, this is a folder, and this is a folder. Our employees, all they have to know is I need to drag my document to this to this folder, and that's going to update and version that particular file. A big win and an easy job for someone who's new to their position, or who isn't, maybe a frontline worker who's on desk duty. We have a lot of TPD employees who work on our sites while they're on desk duty. So that's a position that's constantly changing. And each new employee may not be there that long. So the training period is very brief. And sometimes the work period is brief as well. So we want to make a complicated process very simple. And Igloo allows us to do that by managing these folder contents. Other out-of-the-box features, leading out of the folder conversation is broadcasting. Broadcasting has been a significant win for our public safety departments or our frontline workers. And I'm going to describe an example for you here. We had, let's see, let me make sure I'm in the right place. Oh, so fire. We started out with a process for them. They have daily bulletins they distribute to all staff. They were sending these to each station, having those printed out, hung up on a bulletin board, and employees would go by and look at those. We have established a process where the frontline employees can get those directly. They can either come to their One Team homepage for fire and find that daily bulletin. Maybe they've established a routine for that. But we also have the opportunity for broadcasting this particular content. So let's say our fire employee adds a daily bulletin for the day. They can drag that to this folder, and then they can go to this broadcast functionality. It allows them to actually select a group. Our employees are brought into our digital workplace through Active Directory, through Azure. So they're automatically imported for departments. But we can also create superficial groups, or we can bring in groups through Active Directory as well if those are typed. But in that opportunity, we have created many groups here. We've got all captains, for example. What we can do now is they can post their particular bulletin and then go to the broadcast functionality at the bottom of every page. You can share any content this way. You select the group you want to distribute that content to, for instance, all captains, and you can send that update, which will go to that particular contact's email in the One Team. It then also bounces to our Outlook in our system so that people get notified in a couple of different ways. Frontline workers can then view this content in the field, at their desk, on a phone, at the station, wherever is convenient for them to access that information, they can grab it. So this has been a really, really big win, especially for our fire department. And they started out with daily bulletins. Now they've added two other categories for distribution that they can use their broadcast functionality for. But it's not limited to that. We can broadcast any content within the system, which I've found to be a really big win as well. Wikis are an out-of-box feature that we use very heavily. In fact, I prefer them to be used over folders, but it's, a lot of times we're working, like I said, with employees who working on the website or working on the intranet is not their first job. It's not their first responsibility, and it may not be in their job responsibility description at all. So we're really trying to make things simple for people who may not be interfacing with these types of platforms on a builder side or a content editor side. So big wins for us as far as wikis are that we can organize training documentation, contacts, and in particular boilerplate information. My team in particular, we add all our boilerplate content here that we can use to reuse for, say, rights that are added or new users. But fire in particular and our public safety teams, our frontline workers, have really elevated the use of these wikis. And we really kind of bring them into that. Like I mentioned, they're not necessarily, this isn't necessarily their first job working on a site. So to help with establishing how to use the wikis, I really like to get them started by using just a basic contact directory. And here's an example. It helps with ease of adoption and a frontline worker's conceptualization of how this information can be leveraged and moved across the site. So that's one, again, another benefit is we have our wiki entries. Those can be ported over to other pages, and you can see these are actually those contacts being pulled into a different page here as an example in Fire. We can pull those into other pages as well. So having that portable information in the wikis that we can populate other content areas with is really beneficial. Some of the lessons that we've learned throughout this process are training. Like I said, you know, each department has different obstacles. We have a lot of attrition in my organization, and we're working towards maturation of the organization. So training is really critical, and there's not often a very long window for that. We would prefer, of course, to have people self-serve and train, and that's not always possible, but I did discuss this issue with Igloo, and I'm really happy that they came back to me and said, hey, this is a known issue that we've seen elsewhere. We've created this new training center. We'd love to work with you on a pilot of it. I'm so honored that they involved me in that process. I was able to work with them to take their standardized training center, customize it to my particular users. In doing that, I broke that up into tracks: content creation, Igloo builders, and advanced Igloo builders. Like I mentioned, we get so many people from attrition or from, just temporary duty that we really need someone, some basic lessons in how to create and edit content, whether it's just using those folders, calendars, what are some of the really basic tools in Igloo that we can make more simple and more easy to understand. We've had success with this as far as training new users. In addition, once people understand the system better, they're here longer, they become Igloo builders, and we have an advanced Igloo builder track as well. This has helped a lot as far as, kind of bringing people into the system, helping them understand how content works. I should revisit that. What content is. Like I mentioned before with Fire, there was not really an understanding of what we wanted when we talked about content. So it really helps people understand what is content, how people consume content, and then we can move them up into being, now we can move widgets around on a page. Now we can build pages. But not everyone needs to build pages. I mean, really, we have so much content that we need to port that out in ways that are usable. So that was really helpful, and I'm appreciative that Igloo, took a hands-on approach with us and allowed us to work through this pilot with them, and we were able to really personalize this. Some lessons learned are governance. I've created some governance internally for departments, but we don't have an adoption of an overarching governance at the leadership level. I continue to forward that, but my organization is at a different maturity level. We're not quite there yet. They're starting to discuss it now, which, will help later. But for me personally, as an administrator, I had to create guidelines. I had to create, expectations, and we have training areas, and we have website editor communities that we, establish some of these content strategies in, so that people can understand, how do we use this site. And to that, I wanted to point out that not everyone uses it the same. I mean, here's some views of our frontline public safety communications site, which is our 911 site. Like I mentioned before, it never had a presence on the intranet. Now they're one of our heaviest users. Our Tucson Police Department, and you can see the 911 section, our public safety communications section, actually really prefers to use documents. I'm not sure why, but that's their comfort level. That's what they prefer to use, and that's how they distribute and engage their content users, or their content stakeholders. And our police department, they actually use wikis. Each one of these is a wiki that's searchable. Their content is so deep, I think that they really need that extra space and that extra content capabilities for leveraging that, searching it, finding, particular topical information. One cool thing about wikis here too is that while each one of these may be a separate wiki, we also can combine wikis for display. And that's, again, another feature that's out of the box that's been really beneficial. Of course, calendars for all our public safety and frontline employees. They use calendars heavily, whether it's just for basic wellness information, public safety communications. Our 911 people use they have all their schedules here. So it's really an important tool for their people to be able to reach out or log on from home on their phone or whatever their device may be and see what their schedule is going to be. And so really, I'm tying things up now, and I want to kind of show you where this has gone and how far it's taken us in using our intranet as a communications channel, as a distribution channel for information, as an employee engagement channel. I mean, I mentioned before our Drupal legacy site, 40,000 page views per year, which is not a lot. Our digital workplace in 2023, over 2 million page views, and our fire department alone had over 102,000. Looking at that a little bit further, for our frontline employees at fire, you can really see how much use they're getting out of our digital workplace. I mean, this is an August comparison of a monthly usage. And here, I mean, this is, when you compare, this is nothing. We were hardly using scratching the surface with our previous intranet, and now we've created those channels, those resources in areas where they're easy to find and use. And so we've really had a great experience working with the one team, and we continue to grow and learn. And there's always setbacks and learning experiences, but so far our experience, as you can see from the numbers, has been very positive. And that's it for me. I just wanted to see if anyone had any questions.
Yeah, that's really great, Kim. Thanks very much for sharing that. I mean, it's so into the detail, and I'm sure people will have lots of questions that will come to them after this session as well. So we can always broker some contact through Igloo that way. But I've got a question just to kick off, and we've got a question in the chat actually. So for employees who were historically not using the intranet, how have you addressed the need to remember their login information? People always ask about, frontline worker access and login. So that would be great if you could speak about that at all.
So the way the City of Tucson works is we use Microsoft Active Directory. So we have one login for our entire system. So that is the same login. Once you log in through there, you get an authentication. We use Duo. Once you authenticate with the one login, you have access to all of our functionality and applications. So using that Microsoft Active Directory source aligned with our system analysts, leveraging that has worked for us. I don't know how other people are accessing their digital workplaces, but I know this is a common way. Sean, I would speak to you because you've helped us with that setup. But are we?
Megan asked about people remembering it as well. Do you have like a helpline for people to contact if they forget their login details, or is it do they can just reset them themselves, or it's like the practical question?
Our Active Directory, you cannot reset your own password there. You do have to contact our help desk. We do have our help desk number distributed pretty widely. But that's something to consider, is that, if you're out in the field in an emergency, remembering a password is the last thing you want to do. So, I really appreciate that input, because I will think more about that and really kind of consider some ways that we could distribute or reach those people or have some sort of direct number that's accessible to them no matter where they are for our help desk so that they could get assistance with that.
Yeah, and that's an area, I'm not demoing it today, but one of the areas that we've really looked at from a Flex perspective is how do you enable employees to have that capability to do things like password resets and log into the application when they can't remember their password. So we've built into the enablement flow for users the ability to set up their security questions and have that secure mechanism to get back into the system when they don't have a password handy. We have also seen a number of organizations who leverage their IT help desk, for example, for things like password resets and ensure that information, that contact information is readily available to all employees so they can get it when they need it.
Yeah, that's a really great question.
I've got one other question here about content, keeping content up to date. Now, you talked about you're trying to make your governance, embed your governance more and think about that. But the actual content where people can add it themselves, are you just relying on versioning and like Igloo pulling through the most up-to-date version or the one that's been updated the most recently into your wikis and document folders?
So you're talking about content contribution by just
so
an
versioning. Yes, by an average employee, or it's that perennial problem of how do you keep your content up to date on the site?
So we do have dedicated content editors or content contributors. So they are responsible for updating that content. We make that as easy as possible. And that's part of why I went through, some of the different functionality, the folders versus the wiki. Whatever means is easiest for that particular employee, we're going to leverage that. And what's more easily trainable also is really of importance as well. We do have one of the added benefits of Igloo is that they have a lot of feedback. You can also provide feedback on your content. So that's been really helpful because let's say we have content that is out of date. Someone is going to see it and know, and they will let you know. So that's actually been really helpful for keeping content up to date, is that engagement piece where people can comment and say, hey, this is a terrible document, somebody didn't edit it, or hey, this is out of date. And many times we find that we fix it right away. And it seems like it's far more useful than having people revisit or review that content through governance, which I've also established, like I said, some lower level governance just for that, so that content is checked on a monthly, quarterly, yearly basis. But I still am kind of boots on the ground with that, and I don't really have acceptance at leadership level for pushing that as a mandate.
Thanks so much, Kim. Thanks. We've got one of the questions coming in. I don't want to cut into Sean's time too much, but the question is about how you inform the most, your frontline employees or your digitally disconnected employees about using the site. Do you use, is it through leadership cascade? Is it flyers? Is it everything? So just how you did that adoption piece, really, in a couple of sentences would be great.
That comes down to that reaching out to our stakeholders, whether they're at the department, the division, the team level. We start at the highest level, and it's managed by department. So really, those departments who are embracing the platform are informing their employees at every level in the organization. Here's where you go to find your resources now. Here's where you're going to find this. And also, as those employees have questions, hey, where's this form? I need to get a FMLA, family medical leave form. Where is that? We continue to reinforce that by adding more content there, making that the one source of truth.
Great. That's really helpful. Thanks very much, Kim. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to you, Sean, if you'd like to share your screen and show us a bit more about the things behind the story that Kim's just shared.
Absolutely. If I can just you guys can see my screen okay? Just want to double check there. Excellent. All right. Let me go ahead and jump in here. So first off, I want to thank everybody today for joining. And Kim, you're a really hard act to follow. It's so great to hear a customer talk about the platform, talk about how they're using it and how it's making a real difference in their organization. So thank you so much for sharing with everybody today. As Chris mentioned at the top of the meeting, this has been a really exciting time for us here at Igloo. It's not every day that a company launches a new platform. Flex has been in the works, obviously, for a very long time, and the problems that we've been hearing around connecting employees, both frontline and desk workers, through a single digital solution. These issues, these needs of organizations date back to even before the pandemic, and during the pandemic, we really started to hear those requests escalate as organizations were struggling to find ways to get trusted, reliable information out to employees on the front line in very short time frames. Yeah, sorry.
You're no longer sharing. I don't know if you were before, but it's
okay.
just
One
disappeared.
second.
Yeah, thanks.
Let me see. Is that back now? Can you see my browser?
Yep, we can. Perfect.
Okay. If it goes off again, just let me know.
I'll let you know. Yeah, no problem.
So obviously that brings us to today, where we've released Igloo Flex, which is a unification platform for your entire organization that allows you to bring personalized content powered by AI and machine learning to employees across your organization. We're going to go through a couple of key areas of Flex today. I'm going to start with the administration experience. We're going to talk a little bit about how pages are built and some of the templating capabilities that we have in the platform. We'll look at content creation and where we're leveraging tools like generative AI to assist communicators with those tasks. And then we'll take a quick look at the mobile application that frontline workers would use to interact with content in the digital workplace in a way that they haven't had the opportunity to in the past. So I'm going to start by clicking on our administrative cog. So up here in the user bar, you'll see this option to go into admin settings. And this is an area that we spent a lot of focus on over the last little while, looking at ways that we can provide capabilities for administrators to quickly and easily manage their digital workplace. So Kim made a comment at one point during her presentation that the people that are administering and governing the digital workplace, that's not always their first and only job in an organization. And so we wanted to make sure that those employees had the capability to go in and manage and evolve their digital workplace as the needs of their organization grow. So the first area that we bring you into is the site manager. And this is where you have the ability to go through and see the information architecture of your digital workplace. We have that split up into two concepts. We call them sites and pages. Sites is where you do the configuration. It really is the underlying skeleton or structure of your digital workplace. You can have a hierarchy of sites and click through those sites, and then those sites will contain various pages and content feeds. So the pages are where you are surfacing content and information for your employees. We were just looking at the site homepage a second ago. And feeds is where your content lives, where the articles, the wikis that you create are grouped together and then enabled for groups of users within your organization. A couple of other areas that we have in the admin console are user management. One of the things that we really liked here is we looked at how organizations get users into the system. And so we really have two key mechanisms here. We have standards-based SCIM protocols that we can use to synchronize your users from other systems. But as we know, in a lot of cases, especially with frontline workers, those users may not exist in that system of record. And so we also have the ability to import users through a bulk user upload capability. This is really simple to use. You select a CSV. So give me a second here. I'm going to grab this CSV here. We're going to open that up. We're going to move to the next step. And one of the things that's been really important to us is being able to provide feedback and guidance throughout the workflows that we enable in the platform. So one of the things that you'll see here is in analyzing the CSV file that was uploaded, we've noticed that there's 3 invalid users in that file. So I have the ability to then filter here, and I can see where those issues are with the records in that file. So I realize that I'm missing 2 first names. So let's go in here and we'll add Barry's name. And you'll notice that that record has now been removed. It's no longer an invalid record because I've provided the content that's necessary to do the user import. In here, we forgot to add the username, and then we forgot another first name here. So I can go in and inline edit the content of the CSV file, fix the issues that exist, and now I've taken back to the full view, which says all 50 of the users that I want to upload into the system are valid. This is a huge time save for users. It means that they don't have to go in and out of the digital workplace. They don't have to go into another application like Excel, edit a CSV file, save it, and re-upload it. They can actually make changes to the information and content that they're uploading in real time and see the impact of those changes. So we're not going to go in and pull these 50 users into the system, but if I click the upload users button here, all of these users would then be created in the digital workplace with all of the necessary information that's associated with each of those member profiles. We also have the concept of roles, so things like administrator, creators, readers, and then system administrators who have full privileges throughout the digital workplace to do things like edit inappropriate content that may get posted. And then we also have the concept of groups, and this is where you can bring together sets of users within your organization and then allow them to have access to different content within the digital workplace or assign them different capabilities and give them the, for example, the ability to import users into the system or the ability to create new pages. And so the idea here is that you're able to bring those users together, you're able to assign permissions, you're able to assign visibility based on who someone is, where they work in the organization, or even a project that they may be a part of. Two of the features that we really like in the platform as well are recommended results and profile field configuration. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of those. With recommended results, we provide the capability of bubbling content up to the top of search results. So I'm going to add a new result here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to find the content that I want to recommend to my users. So for example, we have this vacation policy, vacation time off policy. Now, I don't know about you, but every organization I've worked at has had a different term for vacation or time off. So I'm going to put in a couple of keywords here. So one is PTO, one is vacation. Oh, spelled it wrong, so let's get rid of that. One is time off, one is leave. And what's going to happen is when I create this recommended result, if I go in and perform a search for something like PTO, that keyword will then be associated with this content. And even though the content doesn't contain the word PTO, this search result will appear at the top of the search result rankings. So it's a great way for administrators to be able to funnel their users to the right content, even if they're using a different nomenclature than what the organization uses as their standard. Another interesting feature that we've introduced is profile field configuration. And what this does is it allows you to control the set of fields that are available on your member profile. So we can actually scan through this set of fields and we can look at something like pronoun. We can go in, we can hit edit, and we have some controls here. We can turn this field on and off. We can set it as a required field for an organization, or we can say whether or not it's editable by the user. So there may be certain fields that we're importing in from a source system that we don't want users to be able to change within the digital workplace. As an administrator, you have the ability to go in and change that and say, you know what, this is information that's been set up somewhere else. We're going to import this in and the user can't edit it within their digital workplace. Now, one last area that I want to touch on here in the administrative section is themes. This is, again, a really exciting feature for us and something that we've heard consistently from our customers who have invested a lot of time in the branding of their digital workplace. And so one of the things that we did was we built a theming capability directly within the platform that allows you to control things like your color palette, fonts, and other capabilities. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to take a look at the current theme. I'm going to hit edit. And the first thing that you'll notice on the left-hand side is we actually have a version of the homepage embedded within the theme editor. What this means is when I go in and make a change to a color, that change can be directly reflected, and I can see in real time. I didn't change it quite enough there. There we go. So I can make changes and I can actually see on the fly how my site's going to look. We have the ability to create separate color palettes for both light and dark mode. Dark mode is one of the other enhancements that we've added within Flex. And then we have control over various components within the platform. We can control the style of our avatars. We can control whether or not there's borders on our widgets. We can create different corner styles, so square or rounded. And you can actually see those changing in real time within the theme manager. We also have the ability to select different fonts. So I can go in here and I can select from the drop down and I can pick some other font and I can actually see, again, in real time, what my digital workplace will look like. Now, this is giving me a view of the home page, but I may want to actually go in and look at a few different pages within the digital workplace. So we've also introduced a preview capability. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to enable preview. And if I go back to the home page, I can now view my organization homepage with that new theme applied, but I haven't pushed it out to my entire organization. So it gives me the opportunity to see, is everything working? Are the logos okay? Is it aligning with the images and stuff that we're using in the platform? Will I need to go in and revamp the color scheme on my links widgets? So it gives the administrator the ability to really go in and view the entire site with a new theme and make sure that there's no inconsistencies that are introduced there. And when I'm done with this, I click on the link, I go back to themes, and I clear the current preview. And that brings me back to the view that I had previously. So one of the things that I wanted to show you as well was how we build pages in Flex. So we're going to go in here, and I did create a test page earlier. So we can go directly to the page builder view. So what this does is it's actually navigating us into that page and bringing us into edit mode without us having to find where that page lives within the navigation hierarchy. I can first off go in and select a page template. So you might remember Kim was talking about onboarding earlier and how we were launching sort of a new onboarding template, and Kim was able to make some adjustments to that for her organization. We're doing a very similar thing in Flex. We have a few templates that are in place right now, and we'll be adding more to the platform as time goes on. So let's select the newsroom template. And actually, before I do that, I will note that there is a capability for customers to create their own templates. So Kim, when you created your onboarding template, you could actually save that as a template. And if other departments wanted to do an onboarding, they could leverage that same template throughout the platform. So let's select this template. Yes, we want to change. And it's going to give me the widgets in the layout that has been selected. Now, there's a little bit of work that I need to do here. I don't know what links widgets every customer is going to, or what links every customer wants to put in their links widget. I don't know what groups they want to surface on the news site, and I don't know which content they want to display. So that's something that you have full control over. So in the news widget, for example, I can go in and I'm going to select a feed. I want to show company news, and I also want to show HR updates. So I'm actually going to bring content together from two separate feeds, and I'm going to surface it within this newsroom. And I want to show, let's say, 6 articles within that view. So I can go ahead and update that. And I can see that this content from company news and HR updates has all been brought in and is being shown in line on this page. In my links widget, I can go in and I can say applications. And perhaps I'm using UKG. So I'm just going to put in ukg.com, and I want to open that up in another view. I'm going to add another link here. Oh, sorry. And then I'm going to add another tool here. I want to bring people to Microsoft. Excellent. All right. So, oh, sorry, I forgot to save that last change there. So I've got one link in here, but I want to make this a little bit more prominent on the page. So I'm actually going to pick a background color. I'm going to select that. And then I'm going to change the text color as well. So I'll go with a lighter text on a dark background. Let's save that change. Let's make the update. And quickly and easily, I'm able to start bringing my page into focus. I also want to display some users here. So let me select a group. I'm going to show our admin team because I think they're pretty awesome. Let's put that in, and we're going to do newest to oldest. Let's update that. And now you can see I'm bringing in all of the avatars of the admin team that I've selected. And if they haven't selected a profile photo, I'm just going to see a letter in place of that. And then there's another links widget on this page, but I actually don't need another links widget. So I'm going to get rid of that. And what I actually want to do is I want to bring in a call to action. So this is a more visual way of directing users towards content. So let's quickly go in here. We're going to pick, we're going to include images. We're going to pick an image, and we're going to do Fall Fun because that's an upcoming event that our team is excited about. Fall Fun Day. Great. And if I want to, I can also test this link. So when I've put in a URL, I can check to make sure that this link is what I need. We're going to open it in a new tab. We're going to update it. And now we've added our CTA here as well. So now I've got a combination in my newsroom of applications that I want my users to get to, a feed of content and information, a CTA that takes them to an important event that's happening, and the group of people that I want to highlight on this page. One last thing.
You can certainly see that the way that you can make the page come to life, you know. So I know that we're slightly late for time, and can you do this on like a mobile app as well? Have you got
we don't do the
mobile
page
version of this?
Yeah, we don't do the page configuration on a mobile device.
No, of course.
But
Yeah,
one of the things that I was going to show within mobile is the actual structure of the page is reflected in a mobile optimized version within the app. And so all of this configuration that I'm doing will be reflected on the mobile app as well.
great. Yeah, it'd be
So
great to see that. I think that because
yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing for frontline workers to have an app that they can use on mobile devices, obviously.
So let's do this. So now we've run in one more element here. We're going to save this page. And now you can see that within a couple of minutes, we've created a page that's pulling in multiple pieces of content and delivers on the needs that I have within a newsroom in my digital workplace. So I know we're really quick on time here, so I do want to just quickly show a little bit of content creation here. So I'm not going to go through all of the settings that we have, but I did want to highlight the fact that we can create a, let's see, our mobile devices. And this is going to be our BYOD policy. And one of the things that we've been working on is integrating generative AI within the platform. So give me a simple BYOD policy. So we can add a prompt here. We can ask for facts and information, and it will work against the generative AI capability and bring us back text that aligns with the prompt that we provided. So here we have, bring your own device policy. It gives us 3 key points, and we can accept this, and this then becomes part of the information that we're storing in our digital workplace.
Is it like creating an abstract for your policy?
Yeah. So there's multiple different ways that we've seen customers use this. One of the ways is bringing in information that they don't have. One is looking up factual information to integrate into an article. And one is just a way to get started. So one example I love is like create a welcome email for Joe, who's an avid mountain climber and surfer, and is a software developer in our company. And it will create that initial outline of the content for you. And then you can go in and edit, because as we all know, it's a lot easier to edit than it is to create from scratch. So I'm not going to publish this piece of content, but I will go to my productivity page, which is an area in the digital workplace where we bring together all of the information that's important to you. Chris mentioned up at the top, we have AI and ML that is being used to help personalize the content and information in Igloo Flex. So we have trending content, things that people are looking at. We have content that's recommended for you, that's important for you as a user in the digital workplace. And then here we have the location where my content is stored. So you can see that I've published a vacation time off policy, and I have a draft of an article about the intranet and how we can drive frontline performance through culture. So before we wrap here, I'm going to now jump in and do a screen share, and hopefully this all works okay. So I'm assuming you can see my mobile device now. Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to go into the Igloo Flex mobile app, and I'm going to go to the Home tab. And what you can see on the Home tab is a representation of the home page that we saw within the browser. So we have the top image card that's highlighting a piece of curated important content that we want all employees to be have visibility to. We have a version of the CTA widget that shows links to important company information. We have our members widget, and then we have news and information. And if there are multiple articles, we're leveraging horizontal space to allow users to scan through that content and information. And you'll notice that it's not a responsive view of the page, but it is a custom-built mobile representation of the various widgets that exist. We also have the ability for users to view feeds that are specific to them. And this is where they can actually follow different content. So if you're a frontline worker and you're really interested in our safety policies, you can go ahead and follow that content. And then when you navigate to the feeds view, it will have safety information on that view. And so it makes it really quick, really easy for you to get to the information that you need. Because one of the things with frontline workers is they have a lot less time during the day where they're in front of a device or allowed to be using devices to find info. We have content creation capabilities. We have explore capabilities. So this is where we'll surface things like recommended content within the mobile application itself. And of course, we have people directory where you can go in and see the various users and other employees that exist within your organization. So I know I had to quickly go through a few items there at the end, just to, in the interest of time. But I wanted to just thank everybody for joining today and being part of this demo.
Thanks very much, Sean. I know that there's so much to show and share, and it's always tricky in just like 20 minutes or so, but I'm sure people will get in touch if they want more detail.
Absolutely.
And if they, people can add questions to chat. Only a couple of people have had to leave. So if there are any questions, please let us know. I've got a question. Do you find that, are you developing this on the fly? Have you got like, do you get feedback from your customers and asking them to how they develop that? Is there a particular way you do that, or is it just like that sort of contact with stakeholders?
Oh, absolutely. As I said at the beginning, like we have been hearing these use cases from customers for quite a while now. We have a number of customers who are in industries such as manufacturing, healthcare, retail, hospitality. And one of the things that we've heard them struggle with is, how do I get content and information to users who aren't on my, Azure AD? They're not using a mobile device. And I think, Kim, part of the question that you got asked as well was, are you using analog channels, posters and meetings and town halls and the regional director coming to visit? And a lot of organizations are using those channels. They duplicate information. They can be slow to get content and information to the users that need it. And they really don't result in that connection to the organization that we want every employee to feel that they're a part of.
Thanks. I can see that Kim's got a question.
Oh,
you're on mute.
Yeah.
Oh, I was really interested when you were talking about groups. I did want to touch base, because we used groups to actually combine our departments so that we had a need for fire and police to both have visibility of their information to our 911 people. This was critical for them to be informed about things that were going on, either with police or fire, so that 911 could be responsive. And so we were able to create some superficial groups that allowed visibility across those 3 frontline departments. And for us, like I said, it's been critical for our 911 people.
Yeah, we hear that so often, and there's so many different ways that organizations leverage the sort of group capability within the platform, and so that's something that we're spending a lot of time, really looking at. Is one, how do we get groups into the system? Yeah, a lot of organizations have groups that are defined in other systems, HRIS systems, for example. And then how do we give you the capability to define the groups you need within the platform that may not exist somewhere else? They're specific to the needs of the digital workplace. So great point. And yeah, definitely something that we've heard a lot of feedback on so far.
Any questions from you, Angie? You've been soaking everything up like a sponge, like I always do.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. I think, having been through a big change like this myself, it's always so rewarding to see someone else go through it and gain so much out of it, especially with it, a new technology. One thing I was thinking of that maybe others would be interested in is kind of around going back to the content. Kim, you did so much legwork to get that content up to date. What do you do now to ensure it stays up to date? Any new categories that come in as far as content is concerned? The new strain of COVID documents that need to be surfaced. How are you keeping up with that now to make sure that content stays relevant?
Well, right now we have a content creator, I'll call it a web builder. We have a web builder per department, and they're really in charge of managing or policing that content in ways that we don't really have governance established for. We have those content owners, or like I said, web builders is what I refer to them as, because they
it's
really
the old
manage.
School webmaster. Remember those?
Unfortunately, I'm old enough too. Yes.
I'm not. I read it online. We read it on the line. Yeah, that's great though. I think centralizing it and having people who know their work, that especially with frontline workers, helps to curate the content for them, helps manage it, and then continue that. And when you have the tools like Sean has shown to easily keep the categories going and adding them and changing them, even groups as well, I think that just lessens the effort on your part. Right?
I really find that the subject matter experts are the best at at procuring and managing their content. So as an administrator, I try to just oversee and kind of mentor and make sure they have the resources or know about new Igloo features.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to show it today, but one of the new concepts that we're introducing in Flex is the idea of a content owner. And that can be someone that's different than the content author, especially when you look at persistent content, such as wiki articles. With news articles, it's not as strong a use case, right? They're sort of point in time information, but a wiki can live for years and constantly be updated, and people come and go within an organization, need to add new information. So we're adding the concept of content owners to that content, so that if Kim decides to leave after 24 years, someone else that's taking over her role will then be the owner of the content and be able to maintain and manage that content as she moves, as the organization moves forward. So it's a really great way of ensuring there's that continuity in making sure that content is updated and maintained over time.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much for answering all those questions. But there's so many that we could just keep asking, but I need to bring things to a close. So I'd like to say thank you to our speakers. Thank you to everybody that joined, and I would like to sort of say that we've had quite a few members, DWG members, on the call today. But if you're not already a member, and I know we had a few visitors as well, and you'd like to get access to shared insights, extensive research and digital workplace expertise on tap, then please feel free to contact us to learn more. We've placed the link in the chat so you can pick everything up here. But I'd like to say thanks very much to Igloo and to Kim from Tucson, and yeah, thanks so much, and hopefully we'll see you on another event.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye.